Welcome to the Chrysalis Experience, a podcast designed to inspire you to believe in the power of your voice and the strength of your wings. Your voice is your identity, and flying confidently into the fullness of who you are means standing courageously against ugly culprits like fear, anxiety, doubt, and shame. But you possess the greatness required to fly to amazing heights. Join me every Wednesday as I have impactful conversations featuring inspiring women designed to help you boldly, bravely, and confidently fly in your greatness so your unique voice can make a difference in this world. My name is Donloyn LeDuff Gadson. I am a Christ follower, author, artist, wife, and mother of 8. I will be your host as we share in this time of renewal and growth. You are a butterfly, and the chrysalis is your birthplace. It's time to believe in your voice. It's time to be transformed. It's time to mount up with wings like butterflies. It's time to take flight. Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of the Chrysalis Experience. Joining us in the Chrysalis today is Laura Hunt. Laura is a master wardrobe stylist, fashion, marketing, and branding expert with over 20 years in the industry. Today, we will be discussing the topic of reinventing you. You know, lasting change begins on the inside. And in this first part of this 2-part conversation, Laura dives in and we talk about things like self-awareness and conflict and how you know when it's time to restyle, rebrand, and reinvent yourself. Please join us for part 1 of Reinventing You. Hello, butterflies! Laura Hunt is in the Chrysalis with us today, everyone. Laura, it is an honor to have you here. I'm so happy to have this time with you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Donloyn, for having me. It's an honor to be here and be a part of your podcast. I know your messaging is always very important to women, so I'm definitely very happy to be a part of it.
I'm so glad. And we are about to be changed and transformed because of the wisdom that you're going to share with us. And let me just say, Happy New Year to you. Today, we're going to be discussing the topic of reinventing you. But I think I want our listeners to know that it's really important to note that this is not your typical new year, new you type of conversation. This was not planned for the new year. This all happened quite organically. And I think it's a really important conversation to have considering 2020 and the way it impacted everyone. I mean, we all experienced, the pandemic, still experiencing it. We've all experienced the issues surrounding social and racial unrest and the injustices that occurred, as well as political unrest. Then on top of that, things that are going on in each one of us in our personal lives. I had some major things that were going on this year. I know you did as well. So this conversation is far more deeper than just the exterior or losing weight or a vision board. And not to discredit those things. Those things are very important. But we're about to take a deeper dive in this topic of reinventing ourselves. So you are a master wardrobe stylist, and I do not just say that. Everybody has already heard of the introduction and your credentials. You are a master wardrobe stylist, a fashion, marketing, and branding expert. And that's actually how we connected. I don't know if you remember or not, but I was a lifestyle editor for a magazine, and you styled Shanola Hampton for that.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was how we actually got connected many years ago. I don't even remember when that was. It was several years back. But in 2020, you took a break from styling and your attention shifted from styling and restyling others to now styling and restyling, refreshing and reinventing yourself. And so
yeah.
I want to start right there. I want us to, I want you to share your journey of reinventing you and all that was entailed, everything that happened that caused that shift in yourself.
Oh gosh, where do we start? Well, first of all, I'd like to say that this year wasn't the first time that I sort of reinvented and rebranded myself, but I do think that this year was the first year that I was pretty public about it, on Instagram, and pretty much shared that, I felt kind of an emptiness with what I was sharing on Instagram, and it didn't seem so important anymore. It didn't really line up with me internally and the messaging that I wanted to put out there into the world. And I, you saw that, I'm sure, in my stories, and I took a long break. My daughter, you're aware of her accident she was in. And so that was another, big turning point for me, that kind of caused me to take a break from what I was sharing on social media. And I really wanted it to be, I wanted to make a shift in how I was presenting myself online, more authentically, more, and I love all of the beautiful photos, the travel photos and the fashion photos that people so carefully curate and share online. And I think that that's wonderful. For me personally, it just became something that felt too much like, look at me and look at how great life is, when really, life was not that great, just with everything you mentioned with 2020 that we've all been going through. And then with the personal things going on as well, I just really felt this desire to really rebrand myself and share a whole different side of me that, not that I was really hiding, but that I just really hadn't put out there so boldly.
Yes.
So that's really what I kind of went through, that shift, and made some decisions to, basically, what kind of messaging do I want to put out there? I asked myself those very important questions, like, how do I want to present myself? How do I have a lot of, eyeballs on me, that an audience that I've pretty much grown back in 2007 when I was on Twitter. That's really, when I started to be active on social media. And then I left Twitter, and a lot of my audience came over to Instagram, and then it was all about styling and about traveling and about wine and about, just kind of the good parts of life. And so now I'm shifting over to the good, bad, and the ugly of life. And not to say that ugly is a bad thing. It's a part of life. It's real life. There's the dirt and grit that comes with life, and there's dirt and grit that comes with each one of us and what we go through. So, those are the words that I'm choosing to use, because I love this saying, you can grow flowers from where dirt used to be. So that's kind of how, I envision my new rebranding, I guess, on social media. So that's what I've been doing.
Absolutely. And it's just, let me not get ahead. I just want our audience to understand the word reinvent. So I'm a word girl, same. Here we go. All words all around me. So I'm a word girl. And I was like, okay, reinvent. What does that word really mean? And so I looked up the definition, and it means to invent again or anew, especially without knowing that the invention already exists. And for an example, that would be like reinventing the wheel. It means to remake or make over as in a different form, to bring back, revive, which means to restore life or consciousness. And some of the synonyms are recreate, remake, revive, revamp, resuscitate, refresh, remodel, renew. And with that in mind, I've always considered myself, and really people in general, to be multifaceted. And I think, yes, and I think that it's important for us to uncover and discover and refine all the facets and sides of ourselves. I think that's what makes us, just creates depth of character and makes you an exciting and intriguing and interesting person to be around. definition, though, the very first one, it says to invent again or anew, especially without knowing that the invention already exists. And so when I read that, I thought, wow, is it possible? Yes. I was like, is it possible that these new and improved and restyled versions of ourselves already exist? And we,
they do.
It's like we just have to have the courage and awareness to enter into that process of discovery.
Yes, absolutely. There's, like you said, multifaceted, where there's layers and layers and layers of us. And sometimes we're too afraid to peel back those layers. You know, sometimes the truth hurts a little. Sometimes the truth is beyond what we were expecting, but it's always there. And we have to peel back the layers in order to find that truth and to truly become our authentic selves and become who we are outwardly. Maybe there are parts of us that we just keep inside and we don't really expose that to the rest of the world. And now we're ready to. So it takes a lot of, peeling back the layers.
Yes. And it's like a journey to self,
Yes, exactly.
And I really, I just wanted to say that my experience, so I too have gone through the whole experience of this year or this past year, really feeling fragmented and disjointed and disconnected. I too, of course, everything that everyone went through in 2020 impacted me, just like everyone else. And then my own personal situations, going through a lot of upheaval in my personal life, even to include, I'm 48 years old. Well, we found out at the beginning of 2020, hey, it's like, yay, 48. We found out at the beginning of 2020, when I was 47, that I was pregnant. Well, obviously we weren't planning that. We were shocked by it, but we were excited, we were happy, and we were like, okay, let's do this. Well, then pandemic hits and I lose the baby same time. And so we have these conflicts that really produce these emotions in ourselves. And I think that your story is really important, where you and I both, we had to be aware. You were aware. There was that self-awareness. You were aware that what you were doing, what you were going through, what was happening in your personal life, what you were putting on the outside wasn't working. It wasn't really an accurate representation of yourself. And I think that's so important. So what do you think about the role that self-awareness plays in all of this, in reinventing and restyling ourselves?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's like you said earlier, it's a journey to the self. And it's really impactful when you actually step out and take a look at your own representation. And I think that's what I did. Like, I had all this inner turmoil going on because of everything going on in 2020, in addition to my daughter's accident and not getting any sleep and being there for her and staying strong and still working and all of that. It really was impactful to kind of step out and take a look at how I was representing myself. And it's like, that's not really, honest. That's not really, it is a part of who I am, but in that moment and in that time and in this year, it wasn't. Right. So that's when I really felt the need to reinvent what was already there, to bring forth and to bring to the surface the truth and how I really wanted to represent myself in a way that could help other women, and to put the message out there that it's okay to say that you're not okay.
Right. Absolutely.
And that was a big part of my new messaging that I really wanted to put out there with my transformation.
Yes. And you know what, that's perfect, because I feel like when we are aware of how we're feeling, when we're aware of our emotions, we're aware of things that may be triggering us, then we can respond instead of react. When you're not aware of what it is that you're even going through or experiencing, then you start acting, crazy, and you're just reacting, or you completely avoid it and you don't address it whatsoever. But you responded to what you were feeling, and you did so in a way that was very responsible, and you held yourself accountable. And I think that's what self-awareness does. It brings in this level of accountability, this responsibility, where you're like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Now, what am I going to do about it? It's not anyone else's job to make me feel better, look better, restyle me, reinvent me. It's my job to do it. If these are the emotions that I'm going through and I'm experiencing, what am I going to do about it, and how am I going to handle it? And you have, done an impeccable job of literally taking everyone along with you on this journey. And it's been inspirational. It's been liberating. It's been beautiful. And it's been so courageous. Like, a lot of people will be like, well, I'm going to do this and work on me. And they pull away from everyone else so that they can work on themselves, so that when they come back, then they present the brand new. But you're like, hey, this is what I'm about to do. Follow along, join in, do it for yourself, And you, even to the point where you've had people messaging you or making comments and, kind of questioning, hey, what's going on here? And you've even handled that with such beauty and grace, and in just a way that a lot of people, like you, didn't take offense to anything. You were just like, hey, this is everything was a teachable moment for you. And that was amazing. It was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel that that was an area that I also had to hold myself accountable for, because people that were messaging and saying, what's wrong? Like, why are your posts so dark? Or, some people chose to use the word dark when it was really just honest. And I think I blame myself for that, because all they saw prior to that was the beautiful parts of life, the traveling, the, trips to Napa, trips to Paris, all of those things that I just chose to share during a certain period in my life. Now people are like, hey, what's wrong?
Right.
Like, and really, it's like, my answer is no. What's right?
Right. Absolutely.
This is what I'm doing now, and you can, like you said, join me and be a part of the ride, and try to understand, learn from it if you want to, delete it if you want to. This is going to be me, and take it or leave it.
Absolutely. That's just what it is, because when it's time for a shift to occur, it is important that we honor that in ourselves. It's important that we pay attention to, hey, this is what's going on. I think that if everyone did that, the world would be such a better place. If everyone paid attention to, this conflict has come up and it's producing these emotions in me, or this situation, or this change. Sometimes it's not even a bad thing that happens. Sometimes it's just brought about by just normal life changes that can bring about some unsettling and restlessness in your soul or in your spirit, or make you feel like you need a change. Sometimes it's as simple as, being a wife and a mom, and you're taking care of everyone else, and you are like, hey, well, what happened? Why am I making sure that everybody else has, good underwear, and I have a hole in my bra? I'm making sure everybody else has, things for themselves, but I'm putting myself last on the list. And it could just be as simple as saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to make myself a priority. I'm going to do this. I'm going to begin to draw certain lines and walk in a more authentic version of myself, so that my outsides match my insides and my insides match my outsides, and I can feel whole and not so disconnected from me.
Yes, yes. And I actually have another perfect example of what you're saying. I've worked with clients in the past that went through major, weight loss. They joined the gym, they hired a trainer, they changed the way they ate. Now they lost all of this weight and they look great on the outside, but inside they still have the insecurities or the feelings that they had prior to their weight loss that they hadn't worked on.
Yes.
So that can be, even though this was a great moment for them to finally be at their goal weight, they still didn't feel good. So
Absolutely.
that, that's an example of something good that happens that can now cause a shift where you need to bring, more honesty into your life
Yes.
and fix what's inside before you before you finish making the outside,
Yes. Absolutely.
the packaging on the outside, I like to
Right,
call it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's like open the package, but the beautiful package on the outside, and you open it up, but what's inside is spoiled and rotten.
Right.
That's no good. We definitely don't want that. Um, so these are moments, conflict, like I said before, it challenges us and things that we're going through, just these different changes. There are these chrysalis experiences. There are these chrysalis moments where, we need to be aware and we need to engage in that moment and step into that. So once you realize a change needs to take place, how do you begin that process of personal transformation, reinventing, and restyling of yourself? How do you?
Well, I think that, well, first off, it's having an honest conversation with yourself,
Mhm.
really deciding that you want to make this change. And not everyone's going to be public about it. This is something you don't have to be sharing this with the world. You can do this on your own. It just so happens that, like, you and I are very, we're out there and on social media and very public about what we're doing, but this can be a very private decision as well. But I think the first thing you have to do is have an honest conversation with yourself. Like, what am I happy about? What am I unhappy about? What needs to be changed? How am I living my life in a way that I'm presenting myself honestly to the people that I love and care about, or to the people that are watching me, publicly on social media? You just have to have that conversation and make some decisions from there, and one of them might be, I really don't like that I am high, that I'm not sharing some of these feelings that I'm having because they might be negative, and maybe I'm not being honest with the people in my life.
Right.
Or maybe I'm allowing people in my life that are not bringing out the best in me. Maybe I'm being too much of a crutch to someone that I need to release because that's better for them. So there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself first. Okay, once you make those decisions and you answer those questions honestly, then you can move on to the next step. Okay, now that I know the things that I need to do, I'm going to take action. I'm going to either remove this person from my life for the time being, and you can do that in a way that it doesn't have to be a big falling out. You can keep people, I always say, out of your life, but in your heart.
Right.
Like, you can choose to step away from toxic relationships. And then I think that's a big part of it before you even go into the style transformation, before you even go into, okay, I'm going to cut my bangs now, or I'm going to go, edit my closet. Those are the very last parts of what you need to do.
Yes.
So I think the beginning is really having that honest conversation with yourself. And then maybe having that conversation with someone close with you. Even though I'm out there publicly on social media, I'm also very private. And when I say that, I mean, people haven't known in the past if something was wrong, because I wouldn't share
Right.
that. I, wanted to be the strength and the wings for everyone else,
Yes.
but then who's carrying you when you're carrying everyone else? So those are also questions you need to ask yourself whenever you're going through this conflict within yourself that you want to make a change. So that was a really long way of answering
Yes.
your question.
But I think that you're absolutely right, and then giving yourself permission, Yes, like giving yourself permission to do it. So for me, this, the Chrysalis Experience, this is brand new. My audience knows my podcast formerly as Birthing Hope. And I was like, okay, it's beautiful. The branding is beautiful, but I've disconnected it from what I always do at Donloyn.com. All of my writing, what everything about me, is about. Why have I pulled this one part out? And really, and what it came down to was, I know Birthing Hope was a result of what I had gone through. It was a result of the trauma from losing the pregnancy and having gone through, the miscarriage and losing hope and trying to, find hope again in my life. That's what it came from. And it served its purpose. It was very healing. Absolutely. It healed me. It healed those who listened. There were beautiful conversations. But as it went along, it was like, okay, so there's a positive thing where something unsettling feels afterwards. It was a positive experience. It was a beautiful experience. But then I began to feel like, okay, well, why am I working here at, I'm writing my books and I'm doing my art at Donloyn.com, but then I'm doing my podcast over here. This is a part of me. I feel fragmented and disconnected. I need to bring this in. I cannot divide a line between voice and wings and identity and courage and bravery and then somehow take hope out of there. Hope is all intertwined in that. Right. And so that's where this came from. And I was afraid at first. I was like, oh my goodness, everybody's going to be confused. They're going to be, and I'm like, nope.
It's that little voice that we
exactly. I have to say, shut up, because right. I was like, you want me to walk around feeling all scattered and disconnected, and I need that feeling of wholeness. And so the Chrysalis Experience is a restyle of what once was, and it's a reinvention of what was, and now I'm bringing it all back together. And it did start with, like you said, that honest conversation, and then giving myself permission to do it, and then just having the courage and the faith to just step out and just do it, and knowing too there are going to be tweaks along the way. Right. I'm like, right. Like, I need to add these earrings and these shoes, accessorize, adding tweak. Right.
Yeah. Transformation is fun too. It's not, I know that there's parts of it that seem maybe bleak or dark to some people when you're going through this, if you choose to share it outwardly, because people aren't used to it. It's like, whoa, where is this happy-go-lucky, positive unicorns and rainbow Laura that I know? Where did she go? And it's really like, no, I'm still here, and this is going to be fun. If I've allowed myself and given myself permission to do this. Now you just need to give me permission to do it if you want to follow along.
Right, absolutely.
So it's also acceptance. It's also acceptance from others too, I think, that help us transform in a way that we feel that's very safe. When people start attacking you because you're making changes, that might be someone that is toxic that you need to remove. But at the same time, it doesn't feel so great when people aren't really getting, this transformation, and that it's a good thing. But that's where some tweaking comes in. It's like, okay, you're not getting this. Maybe you should step aside, unfollow, or stay in the background and watch and be a cheerleader once you understand that this is a good thing.
And so when you're styling, your clients, is this something that you've always considered, or do you think that what you've gone through recently will cause you to make some changes in how you style, or just have you always really considered that a holistic approach to styling?
That's a great question, because the truth is I've always considered it for everyone else but myself. I was one of those do as I say, not as I do kind of people. And that would be, I would have a conversation I have a client questionnaire that's it gets to the point of okay, there's something else going on in my life that, is making me unhappy. It's not just my style, because that's very important. It's
Yes.
important to know, you can put fabulous clothes on a woman or man, and if they aren't feeling whole inside, it's really not a full, to me, as an image consultant. It's very different from styling for a magazine shoot. For a magazine shoot, it just needs to look pretty and, grab eyeballs and get attention. But for an image makeover, it's completely different. It is from the inside out.
Right.
So I've always done that.
Right.
I have always considered what one of my clients might be going through. I've worked with divorcees that they've just, married for 30 years, and now they have this whole new chapter and this whole new life. And there's a rebirth there for, women that are going through a change like that. So it's not just about her clothes. It's about helping her to feel good again about herself and this new chapter. So it's, I'm not a therapist, obviously, but it does come into my role as an image consultant and a stylist to make sure that she's presenting herself to the world in this new fabulous light that isn't or that's true to her,
Yes.
but it isn't just a packaging that's just, now I look good. I always want to make sure that I have conversations with them that, are you, getting the help that you need? Are you seeking therapy? Are you praying? Are there things that you're doing that I can't help you with before we get started?
Right.
And that's important. That's always been important for me.
Absolutely. Oh, that is so great. So, what does this new year hold for you? Because you are involved in a lot of projects. What can we look forward to from you?
Well, I'm going to continue my own personal transformation and growth, and you'll see a lot of that on my Instagram as I go. And also, I'm working on, I'll be styling, hopefully working on some styling projects. I've been very, very careful with COVID and everything, not to put myself in a situation that might be,
Right.
high risk. So we'll see, we'll see how the year goes there with styling, but I do plan to work on some more styling projects. I also work on virtual events. They're media events that are in the health and fitness world. You'll see, you know what, you'll see a lot from me, as always. I feel like I'm always on the go, doing this, doing that, styling, working on media events, family time. There's a little bit of everything that you'll see. And I don't know if you'll still see vacation photos, because I don't know if we'll go on vacation in 2021.
Right.
But
Right. Vacation to the
I might still,
backyard.
I might still sprinkle some of the, there might still be some sprinkling of rainbows and unicorns in my life on social media, but we'll see. I think it's all kind of unpredictable right
Right.
now. We can make our lists, check them twice, and set our goals and our, action items. And then sometimes, as you know, life says, nope, don't look left, look right.
Right. Plot twist.
Plot twist, exactly.
Well, before you go, I want to ask you one more thing. So, this topic, reinventing you, is obviously it's just a beautiful example of a chrysalis experience, and it's about reinventing your voice and reinventing your wings. And that is what the Chrysalis Experience is about. It is about inspiring voice and strengthening your wings. So I want to ask you, what is one thing that you now know, considering your entire life experience, or maybe just the last few months, whatever, what is one thing that you now know about your voice and your wings?
Oh, wow. I think the biggest thing for me, the most important lesson that I've learned is that it's okay to not be okay. And I think that is probably the voice that I want to be heard the most, because it's the voice that I hid away for so long. Like I said, I was the crutch, I was the strength, I was everyone else's wings. And when it came down to it, it's like, well, who's carrying me? And I think I had to really take a look at that part of my life and and be okay with saying, I'm not okay. And I need to, work on parts of me and do all of the things that I have told so many people that they should do for themselves. So I would say that that's the biggest part that I've learned about myself and my voice is that it's okay not to be okay.
Yes. So true. And I have learned that lesson right along with you. And so many of us. Laura, one of my favorite people ever, my favorite person on social media, but one of my favorite people and such an inspiration to me. Thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of the Chrysalis Experience. If you know an inspirational woman whose life or experiences carry a powerful message of voice, then email me at Donloyn@Donloyn.com. I'd love to invite her to the conversation. Also, visit my website at Donloyn.com. That's DONLOYN.com. There, you'll find links to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Also, check me out on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at LeDuff Gadson. Until next time, remember, your voice is powerful. Be transformed, emerge, and take flight.